Hey, welcome back to Math It Up with TJ. In this video, we're going to define and classify rational numbers. We've got four sections here. We've got natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, and rational numbers. Now, our natural numbers, these are just our normal counting numbers. So if I asked you to count to 10, you normally start at 1 and count all the way to 10. So these are just going to be our normal counting numbers. 1, 2, 3, and so on. Our whole numbers, these are going to be our natural numbers and 0. So these numbers will include 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Our integers, these are our positive and negative whole numbers. So these have -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and so on. And then our rational numbers, these are going to be all of our numbers, fractions and decimals. For example, 1.5 would be a rational number. -1/2 would go under this category. 1 1/3 would be a rational number. And -0.2. These all classify as rational numbers. So now we've got a list of numbers here and we're going to classify them. Now to start out with, all of these numbers are rational numbers, but not all of these numbers are integers and not all of these numbers are whole numbers. So we're going to go through each number and put them in the section that they belong in. We're going to start with 4. 4 is a rational number. It is also an integer because it is a positive whole number, and it is also a whole number. These are your counting numbers and 0. 4 falls in that category. So we're going to put 4 down here. Cross that out. Our next number is 897.2. This is a rational number, but we cannot go down to integers because integers are positive and negative whole numbers. 897.2 is a decimal, so it's going to stay in our rational number section. Next is 5, very similar to 4. That's going to fall under our whole numbers. -2.00. Now this is a decimal. However, these two zeros behind the decimal, they don't hold any value. So the number here really is just -2. And that's going to fall under our integers. This is a negative number. Our 0, that's going to be a whole number. -9, that falls under our integers. It's a negative whole number. -2/3. That's a negative number, but it is a fraction, so that's going to go under our rational numbers. Now 6/2, this one's a little tricky. 6/2 is a fraction. However, if we were to simplify this fraction and divide both the numerator and denominator by 2, we would get 3/1. And we know that 3/1 is just 3. So 6/2 is actually a whole number. However, we're going to write it in its original form. 6/2. 1/9, that is a rational number. That's a fraction. -5 falls under integers. -3.23, that's a decimal. We're going to put that in our rational numbers. 0.25, that's a decimal. We're going to put that in our rational numbers. -847. That's a negative whole number. That's going to go in our integers. 847. That's a positive whole number. That's going to go in our whole number section. 13,287. It's a big number, but it's still a whole number. 4/5. That's a fraction in its simplest form already. So that's going to go in our rational numbers. 0.0. It's a decimal in there. However, its value is just 0. So that's actually going to go in our whole numbers. But we're going to write it in its original form, 0.0. Don't let that trip you. And then lastly is 1/7. That's a fraction. And that goes in our rational numbers. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next lesson.